In the NHRA, that's nothing less than criminal. An underdog survives an ugly one to claim his first Grand National win. There was something other than the Winston Select running in Charlotte, and the top guy in Super Truck pays us a visit in the studio. And hi everybody, I'm Pat Patterson. Welcome to another edition of On Pit Road, final edition. This is the only hour-long motorsports news and highlights show in the business, but even with a full 60 minutes, we've got so much to try to pack into this show that we better not waste another second. Let's head straight to the Busch Grand National ranks, where more than 40 cars took the green flag on Sunday afternoon's race in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Jason Young has the highlights.
The first caution waves when Rodney Combs gets together with Johnny Rumley in the Big Johnson number 25. Randy Porter in the 18 gets the worst of it on lap number 1. Kevin LePage gets a shove from behind and triggers the next yellow on lap 10 in turn 2. Second place points man Chad Little, Tommy Houston, Patty Moise, and Phil Parsons are all victims. Then on lap 33, it's turn 2 again when Dave Dion goes for a slide which collects Jeremy Mayfield, Robbie Crouch, Moise, and Dale Williams. The red flag flies on lap 38 to clear all the debris. No one is seriously injured. Back to green flag action, and Hermie Sadler has the DeWalt Tool Chevy out front, while the rest of the field tries its best to run a few laps without another caution. Green had just retaken the lead when Sadler loses the handle in turn 1. No caution, and Sadler gets it going and heads to the pits. Jim Bound and Dennis Setzer have a little discussion after they cause the 6 yellow around lap 80. Then caution 8 is for a spin by Jeff Fuller in the Sunoco Chevy. He gets going and continues. At the same time, Dale Shaw spins the Skull car closer to turn 1. Back to full speed, and there's a challenge for the top spot. Tim Fedewa moves to the inside and by Green for the lead. Impatience might have played a part in this caution. Ed Barrier, Mike McLaughlin, Martin Truex, Larry Pearson, and Little are all involved in treacherous turn 2. And yellow fever continues a few laps later when Combs, Jeff Green, Robbie Reiser, Dave Dion, and a couple of others are all collected in Calamity corner number 2. But believe it or not, the race actually ran clean the rest of the way, and it's Tim Fedewa taking his first career Busch Grand National win. Second goes to Doug Hevron. Johnny Benson is third. Fourth and fifth is Jeff Green and brother David.
Now, the Winston Cup Tour held its big all-star event this weekend, and we'll have highlights coming up later on. In the meantime, here's a little news for you to chew on. Despite an appeal, NASCAR has upheld its decision to fine Ricky Rudd's team $50,000 for rules infractions. Rudd was fined at Talladega for an illegal hydraulic device in his car. And more news, veteran crew chief Mike Beam is teaming up again with Bill Elliott. Beam and Junior Johnson parted company late last week, with Johnson saying he'll take a more active role in the setup of Brett Bodine's Ford, while Beam will head up the short track program for Elliott, Hardy Racing's team. And when we come back, a shocker of a bump day at the Brickyard. Then later we'll tell you what's keeping the #1 Pro Stock team out of the NHRA. Lots more of On Pit Road. Final edition is on. Next to the last Sunday in May is one of the most nerve-wracking of the year in motorsports. That's because it's bump day at the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500. It's the last opportunity to make it into the 500 field, which this year will be led by Scott Brayton, Ari Lyondike, and Scott Goodyear, who locked up the front row last weekend. But the big story of the day is that, believe it or not, the Penske's did not make the show. Emerson Fittipaldi did secure an alternate position, but Al Unser Jr. didn't even come close. It's the first time in the history that the defending champion is not in the race. And instead of trying to buy a ride, Penske held a press conference after qualifying and said he'll pack up and go home. Unbelievable. And it looks like Davy Jones will start both the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day. Jones was the guy on the bubble as qualifying wound down, but he held on to the final spot in the 500 field and will start 33rd. We'll show you the complete lineup in just a few minutes. Of course, the Indy 500 is sanctioned by the United States Auto Club, which also sanctions one of the top midget programs in the country. They were in action Saturday night in California, and Stephanie Boyd has our highlights.
Nearly 40 cars are on hand for the 14th annual running of the Bill Vukovich Memorial, including veteran Sleepy Tripp, who ended a long drought last weekend with his 98th career win. Number 8, Wally Pankratz, is the early leader in the 30-lap feature after starting from the pole. Behind him is defending series champ Johnny Cofer in the number 1, John Sarna in the 5, and current points leader Hank Butcher in the 31 machine. On lap 5, new track record holder Chad Nichols puts the number 32 ahead of Butcher for 4th, while 3-time winner this season Billy Boat is on his way back to the top 5 after dropping a couple of spots in the early going. A few laps later, and Boat is still on the move, getting by both Nichols and Sarna to take over third. Meanwhile, Pankratz and Koper have been holding down 1 and 2, but the Boat is sailing strong, getting past Koper and setting his sights on the leader. On lap 23, he finally reels him in, and Billy Boat takes the high line to take over the lead, then cruises the rest of the way to take his 4th win in 9 events. Koper gets past Pankratz in the end to take second. Butcher and Nichols round out the top 5. For On Pit Road Final Edition, I'm Stephanie Boyd.
Thanks, Steph. The IMSA Series was in Canada Sunday afternoon for the 3-hour Moosehead Grand Prix, where a quartet of world sports cars were the class of the field, finishing first with the Ferrari of Mario Baldi and Fermin Velez. Second went to John Paul Jr. and Butch Leitzinger, while Taylor and Moretti were third. Leitzinger pulled double duty to finish fourth, with James Weaver and Johnny O'Connell brought his GTS 1 machine home in fifth. Up next, the Winston Select. But first, here's a look at the starting grid for the 79th annual running of the Indianapolis 500. Stay with us. Is a big one for the NASCAR ranks at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and one of the highlights is the annual All-Star event known as the Winston Select. To get in, you either have to be a winner or a Winston Cup Tour over the Winston Cup Tour over the last year, or be a previous winner of the Winston Select, or be a previous series champion who'll still be active on the circuit. What if the little announcers do it? Anyway, everyone else has to compete in the Winston Select Open for a chance to transfer to the big show, and that's exactly what they did on Saturday night.
The Winston Open is a qualifying race for non-winners of the previous year to have a chance to go on to the Winston Select All-Star race, where only 5 will transfer to the big show. It's an all-or-nothing night, and with no points on the line, it's all for a share of over $1 million. But again, it's an all-or-nothing night, and for Ward Burton, Jeremy Mayfield, and Pancho Carter, the night's over before it really gets started on lap 1. Back to green on lap 7, back to yellow a circuit later for Greg Sachs and the Kendall car. The third caution is out on lap 13 when Loy Allen and Morgan Shepherd get together in turn 2. But hey, guess what? After the next restart, they actually stay green for more than a lap, with Hut Strickland and Todd Bodine going at it for the top spot. Give it to Bodine. Then on lap 33, it's back to caution when Joe Nemechek backs into the wall in turn 2. He's okay, but the Burger King car is done. During the yellow, the leaders pit. Ken Schrader, who was just out of the top 5, is now the leader. Todd Bodine dropped to 8th on the restart, but he's charging his way back to the top, and he gets by Schrader for the lead. And that's it for the Open. Todd Bodine leads the final laps for the Open win and gets his first shot at the Winston Select All-Star race. The others to transfer are Ken Schrader, Robert Presley, Mike Wallace, and Lake Speed. For On Pit Road Final Edition, I'm Jason Young reporting.
All right, J-Man, so the 5 transfer spots are decided and the field is set for a 70-lap Winston Select. And as usual, the silver anniversary running turned out to be a thriller.
The Winston Select Open was fast, it was furious and on the edge, but that was nothing compared to the big show, the Winston Select. Hold on, folks, it's gonna get wild. 2 30-lap segments and a 10-lap shootout makes the distance. Earlier in the week, the president of CMS, Humpy Wheeler, picked Dale Earnhardt of Jeff Gordon to win it all in the Winston. Here they battle it out with the DuPont driver taking the top spot, and from there, Gordon is untouchable, taking the win in segment 1. Now it's up to the fans to or not to invert the field. And of course, the vote is to invert, throwing Gordon to the back and giving rookie Robert Presley the point. The first segment was clean and green. Lap 2 of segment 2, and Mr. Excitement Jimmy Spencer goes low 3 wide. It almost looks like everything is okay when Spencer breaks loose, collecting Ken Schrader in the Budweiser car. Earnhardt goes for a slide but doesn't do any major damage. Schrader is out, Spencer keeps going. Back to green, but not for long. A multi-car metal masher in turn 4 when Earnhardt gets into the rear of Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin and Todd Bodine are also collected. After the restart, Gordon is all the way up the challenge and take the lead away from Presley at the midpoint of segment number 2. From there, it's clear sailing for Gordon to take the win and build his earnings up to $100,000 on the night so far. Now it's time for the 10-lap dash for cash with Gordon, Darrell Waltrip, and Earnhardt the top three. The first start is waved off, then it gets ugly. It's the first time all night anyone has challenged Gordon. Waltrip goes to the outside. Earnhardt goes to the inside. Gordon smartly drops back. Then the three breaks loose. Waltrip slams the wall. Earnhardt slams Waltrip. Bobby Labonte and Lake Speed are also involved. Everyone is okay. However, all four are out, and there is still 10 laps to go. Once the green flies again, so does Gordon as he holds on the rest of the way to pick up another $200,000, making his total for the evening $300,000. Sterling Marlin is second, followed by Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, and Jeff Bodine.
Ooh, $300,000 better. That's a good night. Before the Winston Select and the Winston Select Open, the NASCAR Sportsman Division took it to the track at Charlotte. Pole sitter Marty Ward took the victory in his Hooters Chevrolet, while Jerry Rector crossed the stripe in second. Sherry Minner had another strong run and finished third. Meanwhile, Lester Lisinski and Ronnie Sewell rounded out the top five. Straight ahead, stock cars weren't the only game in town in Charlotte. We'll explain what On Pit Road Final Edition continues. While most of the attention in Charlotte over the weekend was focused on the running of the Winston Select, you might be surprised that the country's top sprint car touring series was also in town. The World of Outlaws paid its first visit to the Queen City in nearly a decade, and it weighed anchor in a place called Metrolina Speedway. Randy Anthony has the story.
It was the first time these cars had seen this track since 1987, so the two-night show at Metrolina Speedway was sure to be a hit. This evidenced partly by the fact that sprint car drivers weren't the only ones roaming around in the garage area. On night number one, Mark Kinzer exercising some bad memories of Metrolina Speedway by putting together a green to checker running in the preliminary feature after also doing well in the dash.
I believe right now tonight the front row is the place to start. Fortunately, we was able to start there in the dash. Danny got the jump on us, vice versa in the feature. Yeah, I believe it was the place to start.
First time back this track since 1987. How does it feel to you?
Oh, the track's kind of thin. Actually, the surface is probably the best that they could get it here at Metrolina. They've done a good job. Just glad to be down here down south and showing the people what we got. Not a lot of people are used to these cars. Maybe we can work our way in here. It's just a nice place to be.
On to the Friday night feature, where it's Mark Kinzer, Danny Lasoski, Dave Blaney, Andy Hillenberg, Stevie Smith, and Sammy Swindell in the first three rows. They'll run to the drop of the green flag, and it's Mark Kinzer who beats Lasoski to the corner. Then on lap 20, it's the first caution of both nights, and for the first of this night, Greg Hodnett had stopped on the front stretch with a little trouble. Back to the action on the straightaway, it's Jeff Swindell, who's fifth in line here, getting a jump on Andy Hillenberg, who then bobbles just a touch, and Jeff will take third for the moment. Right behind this battle, you'll see Dave Blaney in the number 10 get passed by Sammy Swindell's red number 1. But it was a Mark Kinzer show the rest of the way as he takes his 9th feature event win of the year, second to Danny Lasoski, who says he just couldn't do anything with him.
I think Steve Kinzer's back in there, Ken. It's just about like outrun. You know, I tell you what, you got to hand it to Carl. He builds a really good race car. He's got Mark all pumped up. He's doing a great job, got all the confidence in the world. I tried everything in the book. I tried jumping on the start. I tried cheating. I tried everything. I just couldn't do it. We did the best job we could.
Kinzer and Lasoski go first and second. Jeff Swindell is third. Andy Hillenberg brings it home fourth. And Sammy Swindell rounds out the top 5.
All right, let's get back in the truck and travel down the West Coast for more sprint car action, where the Northern Auto Racing Club held back-to-back nights of racing, including the latest from the Golden State Challenge Series.
To the green flag we go with third-year sprint driver Jason Lund in the 8L at the front of the field, leading out into turn 1. Lund will get out to a commanding lead, and he appears headed for the victory when the red flag forces the race to stop after Chuck Gurney goes for a nasty ride along with a couple of other drivers. Moving now on to lap 24, Brent Kading, who started 13th, moves by like a rocket around Tim Green for second. Then BK setting his sights on leader Lund and takes the top spot with 3 laps to go with a nice low move around the pole sitter and an even nicer move here at the checker flag and the win. Second is Lund. Tim Green comes home third. Kent and McMahon in the top 5. The next night marking 50 years of racing at this speedway for the Golden State Challenge, and several mishaps occurring before the main event. Here, number 2, Jim Perry goes into the backstretch wall. He's okay, but how about that machine? In the second heat race, number 88 Bobby McMahon heads into the first corner in 4th place, but the front end washed. And he clips Bob Cooney and flips wildly, but later walked away. And in the B feature, Joey DeLisle starts an incident with a wheelie, and results, Eric Rossi's number 38 smacks the wall and flipping his brand new Jenkins. Eric was okay as well. Now to the feature, Brent Kading, the winner from one night previous, goes from 6th to the point in short order, and he'll not be caught to finish first 2 nights in a row. Steve Kent mounts on late race charge to finish second. Chuck Miller, Jimmy Seals, and Paul McMahon round out the top 5.
And still to come, crime and victory in NHRA. We'll have both as final edition rolls on. Dale Earnhardt driving a special silver anniversary, 25th anniversary of the Winston Select car. Your collectors out there know that it's a must-have, so tell us more about this car from Mr. Collectible himself. Fred Wagenhouse is here. Fred, it's good to see you.
I see.
This is obviously going to be a hot item. Would you classify it as that?
I would probably say it's the hottest item in collectibles right now.
Now, the thing about collectibles I think people don't understand is that they're collectibles because there's only so many of them. This is something I was kind of confused about. I thought they were toys, but really that's not at all true, is it?
Well, our product line is totally collectible. We build limited edition. We pay attention to detail. If you'll notice, this car has raised the hood, you can raise the trunk, it's got front suspension on it.
Yeah.
A lot of attention to detail.
And it's heavy, too. While some things you pick up and you go, but there's a lot of work. Where are they made? A lot of people are interested in that.
We have a factory in mainland China that makes this product. We have 250,000 square feet and 4,200 workers.
You've been around this business for a long time. Let's tell everybody what we got here, and I don't know which camera we're on, but we have a dirt car. This is Scott Bloomquist's machine here. You have the Winston Select Silver Anniversary deal here. The dragster is what I can't get over. There's so much detail that's gone into that. It's just amazing. Does somebody sit down and actually build a piece that this can be mass assembled? How is it done?
Well, a car like this would take approximately 7 man-hours to build this car. And we have 64 scale, 24 scale, and we just came out with something brand new now, which we've tested with Dale Earnhardt, and we brought out 1,500 43rd scale pewter cars, which now weigh a pound a piece.
Let me put this up too, because I asked you, I said, is this actually a paperweight? And it's not at all. This is another collectible thing. Now, will there be other pewter cars? Is that?
We plan on building 10 different drivers this year, and in Winston Cup, and we have plans to do drivers in other categories of racing.
This is such a giant business. You were the guy really that started all this. When did you make your first collectible car?
1989, when we did Days of Thunder, and we did that with the previous company that I was part owner in. Mm-hmm. And I left that company and formed Action. Mm-hmm. And now Action is by far the largest in motorsports diecast collectibles.
Yeah, certainly the one that I think all of us are familiar with. In fact, coming up in just a few minutes, Ron Hornaday is going to come out here and talk to us, and we even have Ron Hornaday's truck here, which you're a sponsor of. So you put some money back into these things as well as the business itself. Are you a race fan? I mean, do you enjoy this yourself a lot?
Well, years ago I used to be a drag racer, so I got to know a lot of the racers, and I'm a big race fan, and I was fortunate enough to be associated with Dale and Teresa Earnhardt, and be able to, Don Hawk talked me into being on the side of the truck, mm-hmm. which was a very good move on our part, and especially when Ron Hornaday's 3 wins out of 6.
Leading the points and doing well. We'll let him brag. We'll let him brag in a few minutes, but they are doing extremely well. Where is all this going? Is this just like something that's happening right now, and who knows where it'll be 10 years from now? Or can you see steady growth as you look down the road? Is this something that somebody's really going to have a valuable collection of years going by?
For certain. It's a product line that we never tend to take our product line retail. It will always be a collectible. We always plan on building limited editions. We've covered every facet of motorsports with tooling. Mm-hmm. We've built over $5 million in tools, and we plan on building another $1 million for next year. And we're a public company, and you can watch our company grow. We have no secrets.
I was getting ready to say, if you can't buy these retail, then you buy them through dealers. Now, how do you find a dealer if you're somewhere in the country and decide, hey, I'd like to have some of this? How do you find a dealer?
Well, we advertise heavily, and we have approximately 5,000 dealers now U.S.-wide. And we have a club, a collector club, with RCCA, and we have 35,000 club members. And that's growing at the rate of 50 new members a week, or pardon me, 50 new members a day.
Yeah, that's really incredible. Congratulations on obviously what's a very successful business and fascinating as well, because you certainly are a part of the sport as much as any type of a collectible item. Appreciate you coming by and spending some time with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, Brett Wagenhouse. Now, the NHRA traveled to Englishtown, New Jersey, and this weekend for the Mopar Nationals and the DuPont Pro Stock Challenge, but ironically, the Mopar stock drivers were missing from the field because of a shocking case of vandalism and destruction.
Just one look at these motors and it's easy to see why Team Mopar is not competing at the Mopar Nationals. Vandals broke into the Wayne County Speed Shop Tuesday night, destroying every single engine in the place along with all replacement parts and spraying anti-Mopar graffiti. A total of 6 motors were trashed with a sledgehammer, plus 1 motor that was under development. Officials estimate the damage at well over $500,000.
When we found this out yesterday morning, it just made me sick. I actually did get about half sick. Headache afterwards and stuff. It's just unbelievable that this can happen, and you know, we're just in total shock.
While the motors were destroyed, the cars themselves weren't touched, leading officials to believe that the vandals knew exactly what they were doing to keep the team out of competition. It's not clear how long it will take to get their program race ready, but in the meantime, a $10,000 reward has been posted, and authorities say they're pursuing every single lead to help them arrest whoever is responsible.
And despite the absence of the Mopar team, the Mopar Parts Nationals went on as scheduled this weekend. The Pro Stock Challenge was held on Saturday, and the final rounds wrapped up Sunday evening.
The NHRA is in Englishtown, New Jersey this weekend, and no Scott Jeffrion and Darrell Alderman are not there because of that vandalism earlier in the week. Butch Abbott flips in the semis, and that gives Bob Glidden an easy road to the main. In the main, he meets up against Jim Yates in Joe Gibbs McDonald's car. But the Quality Care driver's car is just a little faster. He takes the win, running a 711 at 194 miles per hour.
We knew that we had to be as good as we could be, and Jim would have to be off a little bit for us to have a chance to win. And as it turned out, you know, the starting line was about even, but I think Jim had some kind of a problem. He slowed down a couple of hundredths, and we picked up a little bit.
In funny car, John Force was gone in round 2. In the finals, it's Cruz Pedregon and Joe Gibbs McDonald's machine going against Dean Scusa. But Pedregon is just a little stronger. He takes the win, running a 524, just under 294 miles per hour.
It was getting loose out there, and you know, with Scusa, you never know, those guys run hard, so we pedaled it, and it still ran a 24, which we were extremely happy that it still recovered. So that tells us it was going to run pretty good in the final.
Larry Dixon, driving Don Perdone's Miller Genuine Draft Top Fueler, is in the final, going against defending Top Fuel champion Scott Coletta. Dixon may be a rookie, but here he drives like a seasoned veteran to take the win over Coletta. His winning pass is a 499, a little under 282 miles per hour.
Still to come on Final Edition, the Super Truck Points leader pays us a visit, but up next we'll check in on the ARCA series, so stay right where you are. Traveled to Killcare Speedway in Ohio on Friday night for race number 6 on its 95 schedule. It was 150 laps around the 3/8 mile speedway, and here's what happened.
This weekend's ARCA race in Ohio, the first stop of the year in that Midwestern state, and it had to be exciting for Bobby Bowser. Now, not only is Bobby from nearby Harmony, Ohio, but Bowser had won the pole position, and he wasted little time on lap 1 grabbing the point and remained up front for the first 84 laps in the Supercar Series. Then, it's Bob Shack's turn at the lead in the number 75 machine. He leads for the next 83 laps, and while Bowser was in the pits for a routine stop for fresh rubber, Shack put Bowser a lap down. But the number 21 driver was not to be denied, fighting back from the lap down and running through other traffic. Then on lap 121, he takes second from Bob Shack, who had lost the lead by this time to Frank Kimmel. And on lap 124, Bowser blows by Kimmel for the lead, a lead that Bowser would not relinquish, and he'll take the win at the Killcare Speedway, his second in a row at that track. Eric Smith bringing the number 9 car home for a second-place finish, while Andy Hillenberg gets third. Fourth goes to Bob Shank, and Frank Kimmel, who had started second, is the 5th-place finisher.
All right, before next weekend's Indianapolis 500, super modified drivers from both coasts will try to decide who's best in their first ever East versus West shootout at IRP. But first, the Western States super modified drivers logged a few miles at Madeira Speedway on Saturday night in the first of their points races at that track.
Number 28 Art Cervantes is the early leader after starting from the pole, and while everyone is hoping for a clean race to keep their cars in tip-top shape for Thursday's East versus West shootout, it only takes to lap 12 to bring out the red flag. That's when Lance Tatro in the 72 and Randy Anderson in the 2W get together, with Anderson winding up head-on in the turn 2 wall. On the restart, it's still Cervantes up front, holding off the challenges of sprint car regular Mark Ekberg in the 12X and defending series champ Rebel Jackson Jr. in the 11W. On lap 39, the drivers are seeing red again as Tatro gets caught in another skirmish, this time with Randy Woodward in the number 10. But it's Tatro who gets the worst of it in this one. He winds up in the front stretch wall. After that, a great race shapes up in the top 10 as everybody jockeys for position. The charge is still being led by Cervantes, Ekberg, and Jackson. But with about 5 to go, Cervantes breaks, collecting Scotty Backman, who goes flipping down the front stretch. It's the third red flag of the night with just a few laps to go, so they throw the checkers, giving Ekberg, the SCRA regular, the win. Jackson winds up second, and Troy Regier is third. Dan Hayes and Jeff Helton round out the top 5.
Now, if you're a short track driver or even a fan, here's this week's Finish Line Racing tip of the week to help you get there first.
Racers, one of the things you want to check after you go out and you warm your race car up is you want to check tire pressures. Whatever the manufacturer sets them tires at, like on this car right now, we're running a McCreary tire. We're doing a test for them. The right side's 28 pounds, the left side's 26 pounds. Go out, run 8-10 laps, bring it in, check them. They'll probably grow 2 or 3 pounds, let the air back down to what it's supposed to be, go back out and run it again. It'll go up a couple pounds, bring it back in, let it down, then you're set to go for the heat race. Remember, a smooth car is a fast car.
Smooth is fast. Got to remember that. If you'd like to learn more or if you'd like to find out about over a decade, the NASCAR Winston West Series traveled to the Rocky Mountain State on Saturday night, and it was the first ever visit to the Colorado National Speedway. So it was only fitting that the defending series champion should win the race. Mike Chase led early in the event, then took over for good on lap 62 of 200. He was followed by series points leader Doug George. Then it was Garrett Evans, Butch Gillen, and Ernie Cope. Now, a guy who knows his way around the Winston West circuit, but who's concentrating on NASCAR Super Truck Series these days is Ron Hornaday Jr. In fact, he's the current Super Truck points leader, and it just so happens that he's sitting right here to my left. And nice to see you, my friend. Took some time off, came here and watched the Winston last night, right? You guys are just having a good time.
Well, it's time off or not. You know, we're out there pounding out dents we had in the truck. So, you know, Dale and Teresa, it was great to be able to come back here and work on the trucks out here.
You bet. Sensational season so far. 3 wins for you guys, and you know, everybody's chasing you. You obviously have got something going that they don't, but you got a lot of good competition too.
Oh, the series is tough. NASCAR came out with something real great, and with these super trucks, and we're real fortunate to have Doug Richards and the crew and working as hard as they are for me to be able to drive a truck like we are.
You got, are you part-time delivering pizzas now as well as doing the truck, or what's you got a new sponsor on the car?
Papa John's come aboard with Dale and Teresa Earnhardt for our super truck team, and it's a great deal. They're going to be on with us for 2 years, and we're going to try to sell pizza as much as we can with that truck.
Yeah, and I don't want to get you totally out of wax here because Fred's still hanging out. We got your little truck here. Is it amazed you the collectible business and what Action Performance has done in the sport? It really. It's amazing to me, and there's no end to it, it seems.
Well, Action Collectibles, and then RCCA, as I call it, is #1 in collectible die-cast cars. And I've always put it where I do all my interviews, I'd say the RCCA is #1, where just as my crew is. And you know, it takes a whole team to do what we're doing, and with Fred coming out with these super trucks and the cars they're doing, and and Papa John's Pizza. I mean, that's what it takes to go out and do and win
This
what we're doing.
is, without a doubt, the best opportunity you've ever had in motorsports for exposure to get you where you want to go. Now, if you become king of the trucks, as you're well on your way to doing at the moment, you stay there, or you still look after that Winston Cup ride? Is that still where Ron Hornaday wants to be?
Right now, I'm very content with what I'm doing. I'm happy to drive for Dale and Teresa Earnhardt, and I'm sure when the times come, Dale will tell me what to do. And I got a 2-year contract with Dale driving the Papa John's Pizza truck, and so I don't know. You know, Winston Cup's always been in my history. I want to do it, and that was my big dream, and right now I'm real comfortable with what I'm doing.
I was just going to ask you that. Do you still dream? You know, because a lot of guys, I think, get so caught up in the business of this thing, they forget why they really wanted to be a race car driver to begin with. Is it more important to win money or just more important to win?
I've never went for the money at all, and I still don't. I just go for the win. The fans out there, the kids, and everything else. It's the glory of the sport and winning. And the money will come along, and I figure if you do 110%, just like the crew is and everybody else, I mean, it'll come.
The Super Truck Series itself seems to be a pretty even playing field right now in terms of technology. Is there anybody out there that's getting a whole lot smarter than the rest of the field? Do we have a situation where 4 or 5 cars will always dominate every race? Or do you see some of these guys that aren't winning now coming up and really challenging for wins?
Well, that's hard to say. The series is real close. You got different champions and different kind of racing and sprint cars, off-road, Winston Cup guys and everything.
Sure.
So it's going to be tough right now because we're coming back. We just got back from California. We're coming here and running I-70 in different tracks where Butch Miller's from and everybody else. So we're going to go out and do some testing with Doug Richards and all the crew and everything, and just get to know each other even better. You know, to take a team like we did and gel together. We're doing great now, but we still got a learning curve, and I feel that nobody's got an advantage because everybody right now is trying to learn each other and how to race against each other.
And you're going to some new racetracks that you've never been to, I would imagine. And have you been everywhere that you're going to go on the schedule, or you got some new places to learn?
Well, there's probably about 5 or 6 tracks I haven't even seen yet, and it's going to be pretty tough right now. But I got the best teachers. You know, I got Dale Earnhardt I can call up, and he's probably run every track we've been on.
Unquestionably. Congratulations on the new sponsorship. Best of luck to you. Hope it's a good season throughout the year, and we'll follow your escapades.
Well, thank you very much.
Ron Hornaday Jr. Now, the SCCA Trans Am Series returned to the road course action this weekend in Mosport Park in Canada. They were fresh off their event in Phoenix last weekend, where rookie Bryce Cobb claimed his first win in the series, and several other drivers scored career best finishes, so most competitors were ready for anything.
Defending series champ Tommy Kendall runs fourth in the early going of the 40-lap Trans Am show at Mosport Park. But when he tries to take third from Ron Fellows through the turns, Kendall winds up off course and drops several positions, setting up a tough battle for himself throughout the rest of the afternoon. At the same time, Paul Gentilozzi goes for a spin up front, giving up the lead he had established from the drop of the green. With Gentilozzi gone, second-running Dorsey Schrader picks up the #1 spot. Schrader won this event back in 1990, but behind him now is a hard-charging Fellows who won in '89 and who's driving for Buzz McCall, whose team has won this event for the past 4 years. Number 28, Tim McAdam, gets a tough break when he goes sliding off course. He had been running in the top 10. Meanwhile, Kendall is trying his best to get back toward the front. He heads to the pits while running 11th, hoping fresh rubber will speed up his progress. For the rest of the race, things are pretty clean, with the exception of John Gooding in the number 16, who has obviously seen better days. Then in the final laps, there's a tense moment when a lapped car gets in the way of front-runners Schrader and Fellows. But both drivers make it through okay, and Schrader holds on the rest of the way to take a dominating win.
We had more motor. Thank Mike Falzano, man. I got up that straightaway. I knew I had this race won, you know. I could open up 3 or 4 car lengths on him. All I had to do was not get past in the infield. I knew he had it, but man, there was cars spinning right in front of me all day long. I almost, last lap, well, right there. Gentilozzi in front of us earlier, so the guys did a good job. I wrecked this car yesterday, tore it all to heck, and they put it all back together, and it was a beautiful race car day. Perfect race car.
Fellows has to settle for second, while Boris Said winds up third. Kendall rallies to move all the way up to fourth, and Brian Simo is fifth.
Hey, you think we're done yet? Not a chance. We got all kinds of sprint cars straight ahead. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. When it comes to sprint car racing, the Club All-Stars is one of the most competitive series going. This weekend they held back-to-back nights of racing, and there was plenty to talk about.
The Club All-Stars started the weekend at Attica Raceway Park. Dean Jacobs took the lead at the drop of the green flag from the pole position, and he'll run into the corner in the high groove. Third starter Dale Blaney and Frankie Kerr tuck in behind, with Todd Kane coming in fourth, but Blaney and Kerr go after one another in second. But a slowdown's coming on lap 7. A David Harrison flat tire is the culprit. Then debris on lap 8 causes another slowdown. But on the restart of lap 8, watch as Jack Hewitt and Mike Bowling collide, resulting in a Hewitt flip along with Danny Smith. Mark Keegan also dumps his brand new racer in the mishap. Kevin Huntley is also involved but is able to continue. On to lap 10 when Kane rides over Joey Saldana's wheel while battling for fourth spot, takes a wild ride down the front chute. The result, another caution, and Kane is done for this night. As the race wears on and tires start to become a factor because of early cautions, Jacob still leads, but one of his tires is blistered, and he hangs on to the eroding cushion. But on lap 31, Blaney dives low to pass Jacobs. He'll bring along Kerr and Saldana for the ride and positions too. But with just 2 laps remaining, a caution flies, setting up a shootout. No contest here. Blaney takes the checkers, followed by Kerr, Saldana, and pole sitter Jacobs is fourth. Fifth goes to Kelly Kinzer, who had barely placed to win a transfer spot in an earlier heat race. Saturday night at Eldora Speedway, Joey Saldana held off Steve Kinzer to win his third sprint feature. Third is Ed Lynch Jr., Dale Blaney, and Keith Kaufman in the top 5.
And our 60 minutes are winding down, but we've still got Stalkers and Dirt Trekkers to show you as Final Edition gets set for the checkered flag. Already shown you lots of sprint cars and some late models, but for you die-hard dirt track fans, here's the latest from the Dirt Series with Doug Elkins.
Are you looking for a little excitement? Well, let's truck on down to Pennsylvania, just south of Harrisburg, to check out Susquehanna Speedway in their sophomore season with the dirt circuit. The track surface here at Susquehanna is arguably one of the best around.
The racing here is real good because it gives an inside groove and an outside groove, and that's what makes for good racing, and it's one of my favorite tracks.
Pennsylvania's favorite son has his sights set on consistency in '95, while young hot shoe Jeff Strunk had that consistency last year and won the championship with only 1 win.
Basically, I put the pressure on myself to make sure I get the job done, and it's going to be hard to duplicate. I think we can win more races this year, but to win 2 championships is definitely going to be hard.
At Susquehanna, they say 4 abreast is best, and an overflow crowd would salute the modifieds before the twin 25s. They wouldn't have to wait long for the action either. Here on lap 1, Richie Tobias gets sideways, and look at these modifieds come crashing in around him. There were a lot of good cars involved in this lap 1 incident, including defending champion Jeff Strunk in the '93. Kenny Brightbill was also in this one. He made out a little better as he's able to drive away. Many of the teams down here have adopted the new dirt body style, but there's still a few holdovers from previous years, like second-generation driver Richie Tobias in his famed blue and yellow number 17. Here he is at mid-pack with Kenny Brightbill trying to find a way to get to the front. Tobias doesn't waste much time here. Here he sets up a slingshot move in 3 and 4 to pass Larry Solomon and Roy Waste and take the lead on lap 10. His Tobias chassis was hooked up on this night, riding the extreme outside cushion, and here he begins to pull away. Defending champion Jeff Strunk was wounded, but held on for a respectable 10th place finish. Meanwhile, just ahead of him, Kenny Brightbill was storming through the field and mounted a challenge to Richie Tobias with 1 lap to go. Here's that final lap. Kenny Brightbill knows he's got some work to do. Here he goes down low on Richie Tobias. Tobias sees him, tries to shut the door, and the 2 touch coming out of the corner. Now Brightbill wins the drag race going into turn 3. Remember Tobias did that slingshot move earlier? He's going to try it again coming out of the corner, but it's not going to be enough as Kenny Brightbill wins.
He slipped up far enough for me to get under him there the last lap, and that's all I needed.
Started thinking of what I was doing, and if I would just been up on the cushion where I was supposed to be instead of trying to block, maybe I would have won a race. But like I said, I think he got a faster car than we did this time. Hopefully the next race we'll run a little bit better and be able to get him.
It was a thrilling win for Brightbill and his new sponsor. Following him across the line were Richie Tobias, Larry Solomon, Billy Schenkel, and Mike Nicholas. Here, race number 2 of the Twin 25s as Roy Wace leads them down for the green. Remember that 4 abreast is best thing we talked about? Well, here's the reason why, as Richie Tobias slithers by on the bottom. Jeff Strunk, who had his problems in race number 1, started 12th in this one and used the outside cushion to blow by pole sitter Ray Waste and take the lead in his Auger Manufacturing 93 just 12 laps into the race. But that lead was short-lived as Richie Tobias finds some running room up high in 3 and 4. Decides to take it the same place in 1 and 2, working up high on Jeff Strunk as Kenny Brightbill watches. As they go into 3 and 4, Tobias wins the drag race and takes the lead. But the battle in this one would be for second, as Kenny Brightbill gets down low on Jeff Strunk coming out of the corner and takes second spot away. Tobias capped off an exciting night of racing at Susquehanna. Kenny Brightbill was second, Jeff Strunk third, with Randy Fortner and Johnny Ray 4th and 5th. For On Pit Road, I'm Doug Elkins.
All right, last weekend, the American-Canadian Tour was in upstate New York for this 3rd race of the 95 season. We didn't get our hands on the tape until this past week, so we thought we'd catch you up to date.
Rookie driver Pete Rondeau is on the pole and leads the first 24 laps of race number 3, but on lap 25 is points leader Brad Layton in the 55 car taking over the point. A little later, and Layton heads to the pits with a tire going down, while the caution comes out for the number 10 of Ralph Nason, who damaged his car after tagging the wall in turn 3. That gives the lead to Sylvain Metivier in the 28 car, but with fresh rubber, Layton is hooked up again and quickly picks his way back through the field. Before long, he's battling with the leaders, and when he and Metivier touch, it sends the leaders spinning, and once again Layton has the point. This multi-car incident through 3 and 4 is the biggest mess of the night, with debris scattered everywhere. Then Ralph Nason tries to make a mess of Layton's night as they battle in the final stages. They swap the lead at least 6 times, but Layton holds it over the final 30 laps to take his 2nd straight ACT win. Nason is 2nd, with defending series champ Mike Rowe 3rd. Tracy Gordon and Dave Whitlock round out the top 5.
My goodness, are you stuffed yet? Well, you should be, because we just filled you up with a ton of racing, but we're out of time, so we've got a whole week to digest it before next week's main course. Until then, I'm Pat Patterson. Have a great week. See you next time.